The Steve Dangle Podcast with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
A very happy Easter to you if you are celebrating, and even if you're not, happy Easter because it's a 3-day weekend. So, all right, sometimes, and if you have the right job and you chose correctly, you have a 4-day weekend. But if you didn't choose correctly like us, you don't ever get a weekend.
They said there'd be no math.
I
Oh
know.
my God. Imagine having 2 consecutive days off.
Oh, man, it's impossible. It's not going to happen. Just not going to happen.
Or
yeah.
I asked Adam this before the show, but if any of our American listeners can tell me, is it also a stat holiday down in the States tomorrow?
Has to be.
I don't know if they do Good Friday.
Yeah, no, the states are more Jesus-y than we are. That's why I think it has to be, right?
But like most of their stat holidays are like Columbus Day,
President's Day,
Right.
invade the other space that isn't yet ours Day.
we took land Day.
Explosives Day. The Rockets
Adam.
Red Glare Day.
That's not until May. Don't be silly. It's April. Was that the April Fool's prank that you thought Missiles Day or whatever you called it is in April? Is that your prank?
Can we
It's
get
in May.
Missiles Day shirts?
Yeah.
And then every April 1st, we drop new Missiles Day merch.
What the fuck?
Celebrate Missiles Day with the Steve Dangle Podcast.
Missiles Day. That's right. We're gonna spend
Jesus.
$1 billion with the NFL just to advertise it.
Yeah. And we're going to make the national anthem mandatory.
Let me be clear about something.
I don't know which parts of this are a bit anymore. I've gotten lost. I don't know.
Ask America which part of what's going on in America is a bit. All right, like it's pretty wild.
It remains
Now,
my favorite reality show.
This is to everybody that has served in any sort of military function. Thank you so much for your service. We're not making fun of that. We are making fun of the fascination with explosives, guns, and presidents in the United States. And I think everybody's allowed to do that just a little bit. Okay, we're allowed to make fun of our big brother.
Did you know that the U.S. Army just signed a contract with Microsoft for $21 billion to create augmented reality helmets?
Cool. Well, I would imagine that would be helpful if you're not sending soldiers into battle anymore, and it's just guys like proxy soldiers. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have a helmet on, and it's like a video game.
One day, war is going to be like Call of Duty.
Yeah. Well, that's what Call of Duty exists. It's training us all up for war.
This is not what I signed up for. This is not what I thought we were going to talk about, like the Blue Jays. And speaking of successful teams in Buffalo, the Sabres won as well.
They won once. I mean, really, what are we supposed to say? You won one game.
That is a 1,000% improvement on the previous 18 games.
That's true. That's a good point. Sorry. I've got a bit of a mess here happening with my stand. I almost hit myself in the face.
What's happening to us?
It's the terrible desk here that I have, the $85 stand-up desk I bought on Amazon. It likes to sink into my new flooring. So I've got it so that I'll start the podcast and it's just on a bit of a tilt.
That's okay. I'm on a bit of a tilt constantly.
Yeah. Well, listen, the Leafs play a near perfect game in Winnipeg last night. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Plus, also on the show, Elliot Friedman saying that Toronto has checked in to Buffalo about something that might surprise you, unless you've been listening to what I've been telling you, in which case it will not surprise you. It will be the smart thing.
Would you give up Robertson for Eichel? I say no.
McKinnon and McDavid both fine. Columbus, what are they doing with Laine? And of course, Erik Karlsson eating an apple.
I mean, that's the story of the day.
I think it has to be.
Do we start with it?
No,
how could we
not?
not?
The crown, Stephen.
Oh, right.
Jeez.
Charity. Stupid.
All right, Jesse, who are we talking about today?
All right. So today's Who Wore the Crown comes from Liam.
Okay.
Liam was saying, instead of a shout out, I was wondering if y'all could do a Who Wore the Crown for the Toronto Six in addition to the Leafs. So there weren't any Toronto Six games, so we can't really do it unless we throw back to when they're
Go back to last week, yeah.
I
Why
obviously
don't we
don't
wait
know.
till next season on that one? Because that I don't want to. Because
they don't deserve to be shoehorned.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Let's do this properly.
Fine. We'll save your idea for Tuesday, Liam. But he also said, I obviously don't know if it's possible for you guys to do it. And if my idea gets through, I just want to thank you guys, Steve, Adam, and Jesse, for all the amazing work you do on the SDP. You three represent the best of hockey, and the rest of it, I just don't want to pat myself on the back anymore, but Liam thinks we're awesome.
Oh, that's nice, Liam.
Liam's right.
And Liam gave 2 sick kids.
Well, Liam's the kind of guy, and my friend saw this meme on the internet and sent it to me the other day, and he's like, yeah, why don't we do this more? Liam's the kind of guy that goes through life and pumps your tires. And this meme I saw on the internet said, why don't we just go through life pumping other people's tires and making them feel good about themselves?
Why don't we, guys?
Why
Adam
not?
and Jesse? Why not? Why not?
So
make your friend feel good for his time at his previous employer, the Toronto Zoo.
Okay.
Oh, Jesse is not having that.
No, she's like, no, it's fuck you. It's exhausting.
The people love Steve Zoo stories, and just so everybody knows, the segment is called Steve Zoo Stories and Adam's History Corner. They have different names. Get it right.
I think it should be Steve Zoo Corner for sure.
No, that's Adam's History Corner. Steve Zoo Stories.
Can it be Steve Zoo Corner presented by Adam?
Could be. Can I buy the segment?
Adam's History Corner.
Well, listen, I think it was pretty funny. The meme that we had that Jesse posted on the Steve Dangle Podcast Instagram. By the way, you can follow at the Steve Dangle Podcast. Remember, the is important, like the sports.
I don't think we're at the Steve Dangle Podcast.
Are we not?
No, on Instagram.
I'm pretty sure we are.
It's just at Steve Dangle Podcast. This podcast has been a mess.
Oh my God.
No, it's
are we gonna get it back? You think?
Oh, it does say the Steve Dangle Podcast in the thing though.
In the bio, but the handle is at Steve Dangle Podcast.
Okay, so it's Steve Dangle Podcast. Okay, well, fine. Anyway, this is the meme, and it was really funny. Also, Steve looks like the Joker in one of those, and that's weird too. Okay, so we got to talk about who wore the crown. Who wants to go first? Anybody have one where they're like, I must go before the two of you?
I'll take it.
No.
I'll take reins. Since you guys don't want to step up, I'll tell you who stepped up.
Jesse Campbell. You step up to the streets, Jesse.
I will. Jack Campbell gets my crown. And to be honest, I want to give him 7 crowns because quietly, this is the most quiet 7-0 start for a goalie, I think, ever in Leafs history. Did you know that Jack Campbell is 7-0 this season?
I did.
7-0.
So Jack Campbell so far 7-0, 2 shutouts, .948 save percentage. He's stepped up for Freddie. Crown goes to Soup.
Love it. Steve?
Adam, what was that?
I was just fixing some stuff. A bunch of shit fell apart on me. I have shitty equipment, okay? I've been showing people on Cameo my shitty podcast setup. It's fallen apart, and it was a bad time. Stop pointing it out, okay? I'm going to come over there, and I'm going to take all your dolls off the wall.
What's okay? No, not again. No, you're not. Absolutely not again.
I stole one of Steve's dolls once and took it to a Tampa Bay Lightning game. So
you did
in Tampa.
You know,
I forgot that happened.
It was pretty sweet. It was
pretty funny.
Was it?
It was James Reimer.
Oh yeah, it was the Reimer.
I took him on vacation.
He's back in his rightful. Where is he? Where is he? For the love of... There he is.
And it was Star Wars night, too, at the game.
Well, James loves Star Wars, so he was very happy to go. He told me that later on when you brought him back. So, you ever try to fix something that isn't broken? I mean, Adam tries to fix things that are broken throughout the show. Do you ever try to fix something that's not? Zach Hyman getting back onto the Leafs top line. Gosh, maybe we just need to go out and get some third line help, like the boys were saying, because sometimes the answer's right under your nose. And Zachary, right back on the attackery, leading to the first 2 goals of the game, ended up getting the game-winning goal himself. Key part of the penalty kill, key part of everything. My goodness, what doesn't Zach Hyman do? And the answer is let you down. Zach Hyman is an amazing gentleman, an amazing individual. And gosh darn it, here's your crown, Zachary.
Wow.
That's my crown.
On the attackery. That's
Zachary
good.
On the attackery.
I like that. I like that a lot.
It flows so well. You don't even have to force it. It's really good.
Mine's going to go to a little known and little mentioned subject. His name is Austin Matthews. And, whenever you need a goal, Austin seems to be the guy that can get you that goal. Last night, and we'll get into this a little bit better, but last night was the perfect way that you would want the Leafs to handle a game against a team that is as good as the Winnipeg Jets are. The Winnipeg Jets, to me, are the second best team in that division, and the Leafs handled them really, really well. And it starts with Austin Matthews and that first effort. It was the Austin Matthews goal and then the Austin Matthews post that led to the Zach Hyman goal. And it's things like that that just seem to happen when Austin Matthews is on the ice. So my crown, Austin Matthews, for just making goals happen. He's a goal guy. He does goals. That's what he does.
When he had a shot taken away briefly, he was still finding ways. Mm-hmm. The dangles, the tips, he's disgusting. I love it.
He is disgusting. Now, Jesse, one more time on the name. Who sponsored the segment today?
Liam.
L-I-M.
The next time you want to be a good guy like Liam and pump other people's tires and give to charity, why not?
Why not?
Let us know that you gave to charity so we can have you as the sponsor of the Who Wore the Crown segment on the Steve Dangle Podcast, back by popular demand. Now, sports stories are in season. Sign up for The Athletic for just $1 a month and get the best in-depth analysis and storytelling on the team that you love. Basically in the NHL. You got LeBron. You got Myrtle. You got Siegel. Find them on theathletic.com/STP. You can go to theathletic.com/STP to receive all access subscriptions for $1 a month. We hope to see you there. Last night, that's got to be the perfect kind of game, right?
Oh, just a coach's dream. Coach's dream where there were 10 total shots in the third period. And the team that was down had 5 of them. That's how many 2-goal deficits are you going to erase with 5 shots in a third period? Not a lot.
But you're playing the Leafs, though.
But you are playing the Leafs.
You know what? I got really scared when they got the double minor. And then the Jets scored when it was 2:06 left in the first minor. And I was like, if we could have just killed 7 more seconds, the goal would have just erased both of them and then would have been okay. But then I was like, they're going to score again here. And then they didn't, which was awesome.
And here's how neurotic we are as Leaf fans. Like, okay, they scored with 6 seconds left in that power play. There was a shorthanded goal, like a few seconds before that. Yeah. And none of us cared, spoiled.
Alex Kerfoot, I feel bad for him because even when he does things right, people are like, I didn't notice. He's not a bad player. I don't know why everybody wants to kick him out of town so fast.
Kerfoot on this team is the 10th most important guy?
Maybe even less.
Yeah, even that.
Probably less. Yeah.
So it's it's okay. Maybe you don't cross my mind a lot. Whatever.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that just because he's the 10th doesn't mean he's not useful. And he is useful. And and the thing is, Alex Kerfoot needs to shoot. And we saw why. Alex Kerfoot never shoots, needs to shoot, needs to score some more goals. And again, for $3.5 million, I can understand. It was the same issue we had with Kapanen and Johnsson. And here's the problem. $3.5 million players from time to time are going to frustrate you because the talent's there, but sometimes they just don't put it all together, which is why they're not making $7 or $8 million. And so I think in Alex Kerfoot's case, I know that there's trades coming and I get that everybody's like, well, he's the salary that needs to go. I would just like to pump some caution into that because if this guy gets going and plays like he did last year, you're going to be completely fine with the way he plays. I'd like him to be better in the face-off dot as well, 100%. But for $3.5 million, the wheels that guy has, what he brings to the penalty kill when he's on, he's very, very good. And there's an enigma about Alex Kerfoot. I'm still intrigued by the skill set that this guy has that we just haven't seen be put together. And remember, too, this is a guy who's been shuffled from how many line 1, line 2, line 3, and how many different line mates has he had? It's not like, Matthews and Marner, most of the season they've been together. Tavares, Nylander, most of the season they've been together. Who has Kerfoot had if he's been the center?
And he's had production everywhere, which is important. Joe Thornton, bless him, did a really good job on the top line when he was there. He has not really done anything anywhere else. I think he's a positive presence. I enjoy having him on the team, but he's not producing. But it's okay. He's a 41-year-old making league minimum. Alex Kerfoot is making 3.5. And if that were the same case with him, we would all be offering after you to drive him to the airport. I think this is an important player and a good player. And if you got to move his salary out of town, fine. I'd prefer it to be in the off season, unless you really, blow me away.
If you get Ekholm, I don't care.
Yes, right. But like, if we're talking, like, okay, I keep saying Iafallo. I want Iafallo from the Kings. Okay, so you're bringing in him and taking Kerfoot out. Is that an improvement? Yeah, I think
marginally, maybe.
Exactly. It's not enough. It's not enough to justify losing this player, I think. If you can find a way to get both, yeah, buddy.
Like, I would trade him for Connor McDavid, but like otherwise.
I'd do that. I think I'd do it. I think I'd do that, yeah.
Would you do that? Okay. Not Leon, though. Screw Leon.
No. Guy makes... We've talked about this. He makes 8.5. That's way too much. It's way too much for Leon Draisaitl.
We did once say that. Boy, what fools we were. What fools we were.
I still stand by the logic, but
I'm not even
holy shit, he's been real good.
Yeah. I think when we talk about the way you want the Leafs to look on the offensive side of the puck, though, it's the top three lines are rolling. The fourth line just does what the fourth line does and occasionally scores. You're like, wow, that's great. Thank you. And then the defense, though, Steve, I think you made a really good point there. In the third period, 10 total shots. You're not going to score a lot on Connor Hellebuck with 5 shots in a period. You just probably will never score at all. But with Jack Campbell, it's seeming more and more like you won't score either. Mm-hmm. This guy has been lights out and apparently not even close to fully healthy. And I think part of the reason he's been able to be so good and flourish and build confidence in that net is because the Leafs defense in front of him is pretty good.
Well, and a thing I saw talked about that I think is important to our little trade discussion we just had, Travis Dermott played like 8 minutes and barely played the back half of the game. But then you talk about how well they executed the back half of the game, specifically the third period. What do you do? What do you do there? I don't think it makes a ton of sense to roll out Justin Hall and Jake Muzzin 25 minutes a night during the regular season.
But during the playoffs?
During the playoffs, absolutely. So we seem to fluctuate. We go back and forth on who the Leafs should get. And I think this is one of those games that tips me towards, okay, it's maybe a defender then. You know, their great defensive performance leans me towards they need more defense, which is odd, I know, but
sort of what I brought up on the last show too about Gouch. I'm calling him Gouch because that's the nickname that makes Chucky doesn't make sense. It's Gouch.
It's fun.
In Toronto,
it's
Gouch.
To say Gouch.
I don't know. It's very satisfying.
I like it.
So Gouch is the guy. It's Gouch, by the way.
What about Chinny?
Chinny, just the chin. I think what I like about him is he's doing everything right now that Michel Therrien was dying for him to do in Montreal, like dying for him to do. And he's a physical presence. He's on the puck. He seems to be anyway, the sixth forward that they've sort of been looking for. And I think there was a lot of people last episode who were kind of confused by what we were saying about Zach Hyman and how we wanted him on the third line. And our point in that was saying that if you can have Zach Hyman on the third line, then you have a deep, deep forward group. And that doesn't mean he stays on the third line. This isn't NHL 21. He moves up as the game goes on. That's the point. But at the beginning of the game, you want to try to have 3 lines going if you can, if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs. So you just completely outmatch a team that you're playing. And Zach Hyman being on the third line, driving that play would do that. I understand the need for some sort of extra winger, maybe. But haven't you noticed since Gouch came up, has started becoming a good player for the Toronto Maple Leafs, that the conversation around him or Dubas going and getting a winger has completely changed? Like, you don't hear it.
And I recognize Tavares, or I noticed Tavares so much more. And I noticed Nylander so much more. And I wonder if it's because Galchenyuk's such a handful that it gives him a little bit extra space. Tavares especially. Like, Nylander's been much better at finding free space than Tavares, but Tavares is like a sort of in the trenches sort of player, likes to play in tight. Galchenyuk's been providing something that hasn't really been there this season. And to our Kerfoot conversation, like if they're able to get a third line center, like you've been beating that drum this whole time, Adam, could your top two left wingers then be potentially Galchenyuk and Kerfoot? With
why not?
Thornton filling in sometimes, and you have Zach Hyman way down on the third.
I want you to imagine Hyman, centerman, whatever the centerman is, and Wayne Simmons.
Yeah. I think the ideal fourth line of this team, and they'll eventually get there, is Joe Thornton, Jason Spezza, Wayne Simmons. And as a fourth line, like that's so formidable. That a few years ago, that would have been like one of the best first lines in the NHL.
Right.
They're all older now and a little bit more beat up, but you throw them out there, I don't know, 11, 12 minutes a game.
Yeah.
That's some good stuff. I gotta say, I don't know. What do you guys think of, I can't believe I'm bringing this player up. Pierre Engel. Dude, I love this guy.
Why?
What? I don't know why. It's just,
man.
I'm not noticing him in the negative way I was at the beginning of the season when, like, I've forgotten that he could barely make the team.
Right.
And now I think the Leafs have him, like, penned in as the third line center.
Yeah, but that's not, I wouldn't say that's optimal.
I mean, if you can push him down to the fourth, cool.
No, I think optimal is him being a sub. Because I don't think you're pushing any of those guys off. Steve, you've seen a good week out of Pierre Engel, and all of a sudden
good week.
He hasn't
How
been
dare
that
you?
great.
I think he's been great for like a month and a half.
Great for a month and a half.
I really do.
He drives me fucking crazy.
I will say,
you don't think he has a spot on the lineup?
I think ideally he's not your third line center, and he's definitely not your fourth line center. Because Spets is the fourth line.
Him and Mikheyev have this magic. How many lines have two guys that tall and that fast? Like, I just think if you play them correctly,
do so little with the puck.
But the opponent is doing so little with the puck when they're on the ice, which is what they're there for. They're the
negative time. It's just neutral time.
That's what
nothing's going to happen with them. It's just a bunch of neutral time.
That's not a bad thing.
But with the Leafs, they don't need that. They could go get a good productive center. If Eric Staal was a Toronto Maple Leaf, that third line is productive.
Are we doing? Is this the Mason Raymond phenomenon? Like, is the answer that we're eventually going to come up with actually the Leafs offense is really good and it's versatile.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of options there, and maybe they should put their focus elsewhere.
Yeah, I am so happy with this forward group. You have 12 guys who are just decent and can switch in at any time. And then you have your top six, obviously, that are amazing. And then, so just kind of leave the forward group alone and go get a defenseman if you're
I'm with you on that.
Trying to make a trade. If you have so many pieces and they do so many different things that you can create a solid lineup out of them.
And the sheer amount of guys they have in the minors who could come up and be perfectly fine.
Yeah, and the amount of guys that they've lost and they haven't missed a step.
Well, they lost Boyd, they lost VC, and they still have, totally forgot about Barabanov. Patan is on a really good streak in the minors. Robertson, they just got SDA, and of course he gets his first AHL point on a Robertson goal, which is hilarious.
Because they're magic together, those two.
Absolute magic. And Robertson shot. SDA smart. All he has to do is get him the puck. Like, he doesn't have to do anything magical with it. Just pass it to Nick, and he'll shoot it through a goalie. He's eating up the American Hockey League. What we keep coming to, I think, is maybe defensive help. Because let's say there's an injury, okay? And you got to fill in a spot on the left wing. Are you worried?
No.
I think
they'll get by.
Dude, they played Barabanov with Tavares and Nylander on purpose for several games, and it was good.
Yeah, because you have two elite players. The other two don't just need a guy who's going to go get the puck. And like half the guys in this roster are guys who are going to work hard and go get the puck for you.
Which is what Galchenyuk is doing, right? And I think Patan is a guy who, if you had to for a game or two, could do that. Robertson is the third name I mentioned in this conversation somehow. and that's like priority number one that we're talking about on the trade deadline. No, I think it's a defender.
Well, and I would disagree. I actually think it's a goalie, and I've been saying that for a bit. Now, we do know today on WGR that Elliot Friedman was making his weekly appearance on 55 WGR in Buffalo, and he said the Leafs have checked in with the Sabres.
They'd be stupid not to. Linus Ullmark is over Bettman 500, man.
Guys.
On the Sabres. That's dumb.
Guys, Linus Ullmark was one of the guys I brought up.
Yep.
Linus Ullmark. So this is if Freddie is not going to be healthy.
Right. That's what I was about to say.
I hate to say this, guys. Freddie ain't going to be healthy.
Right.
No.
If you're getting a goalie, that means you talked to the doctors and they said that Freddie's going to be out a lot longer than we all think.
He'll be on the LTIR the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think they got to very quickly maybe get Vevalainen in the net for a game or two, and make a decision here. Was it that shocking?
Yeah, it was almost.
I didn't think it was that shocking.
I'm drinking the sparkly water, and I mean, it would have been worse had you said Hutch. But you're right. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not good. They didn't get Vevalainen because they wanted him to play this season.
Well, I just feel like, if you didn't, then you have a decision to make, and I think the decision's been made for you because you need to. Obviously, Freddie's no longer an option. So you need to get Jack some rest because as good as he's playing, he's obviously not 100% either. There's 20 games left.
Mm-hmm.
Like for a short season, it's a pretty long season.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have to get someone else to fill up the net. And you don't exactly have first locked up. Last night was big. And then you play the friggin' Jets again. And they win, and all of a sudden they're right back within one. And the Oilers are right there too. So I think they need to make a decision there sooner rather than later. And, I think we're going to get a trade any day now. And that's not exactly going off the board here.
Wow. He's Jesse, he's out of control today. We got to put a stop to this. We might get a trade any day now.
Oh. Well, if you want to get a player on the same day as the trade deadline, you have to make a trade. What is it? April 5th?
Yeah.
Or something like that. So they gotta get somebody, and they gotta get someone who's not shitty at net.
It's funny how
shout out Jesse's dog that just made an appearance in his mirror on the left side. I don't know if you saw it. Waffles' butthole, but that's what it was. This was Waffles' butthole.
I don't think you can see it on the video because I'm like this square.
Oh, are you? Oh, okay, sorry, man.
On the wide angle, you could probably see my dog walking around.
Yeah, so I saw it, but nobody else did. So
trust us, it's
me
cute.
and Waffles.
I was gonna say, it's funny how there was that week where the Leafs had one game, and everyone was like, "Oh, they had that marked, circled on their calendar. This is the week the Leafs are making the trade. This is the week." And Dubas was like, "No, I'm not doing it here. You guys all think I'm doing this thing, and I'm not going to do it." When you don't know I'm doing a thing, that's probably when it's going to get done.
And like now that we know he's spoken to the Sabres, I think we can pretty confidently say he won't deal with them.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Out of spite.
Well, maybe the Jonathan Quick rumors are true then.
I mean,
I hope not.
Oh, me too. I don't know. Not. I don't know when the last time he had a good week was, but it's probably been a while. I think what it is this, guys. Like, yeah, they're going to get a defenseman probably. It's going to be a depth defenseman though. It's going to be somebody who slots in with, who can probably draw in with Bogosian or Travis Dermott. And maybe it's crazy to say, but maybe for the first time in a long time, the Leafs need a backup left shot defenseman.
I gotta say, I had no idea Bogosian was this kind of player. Like, not even this good. This good doesn't describe him. I didn't know he was this kind of player. Like, I thought he was this big, like, gonna bruise you up guy. And he'll do that on occasion, but like, he skates pretty well for the guy he was advertised as. He moves the puck pretty well. What was it? It was the Hyman goal. The little pass to Marner, passing it to where Marner's going to be and not where he is. And just, he's such a much better puck mover than I could have ever expected. Like, what a great signing
Great
by Dubas. Great find.
And it's funny because, you look at his history, though, poor guy. It was like Atlanta, the Jets when they were bad, and then the Sabres who are always bad. It's not like he's had a lot of great teams to play with.
And boom, the Lightning.
And then Lightning. Lightning championship.
Whoa. Yeah.
And he was playing top line minutes, was he not? Was he not playing on their first pair because the Lightning defense was decimated? Their Cup final?
Their right side was brutal. I'm trying to remember
Hedman was out, I think. Didn't they have Hedman out? And
during the I want to say their left side was good. Their left side options.
Hedman and who? What are the left side?
McDonough.
Oh, geez.
So they had Hedman, McDonough, Sergachev, I think was the order, which is stupid. Stupid. How does any team have that? But the right side, I want to say Cernak was out of the lineup, and they were they had Bogosian and Shen, and I don't even remember who else, and they're winning Stanley Cup playoff games.
Well, that's why I think it would make sense to talk to a team I keep saying the Coyotes, but Chalmerson should be available. He's UFA at the end of the year. There's another Coyotes defenseman that actually came up. I think it's Goligoski. Is he still there?
Demers.
Demers would be good. Guys that are probably, and you know what Arizona wants. They're going to want mid-round draft picks. They're not getting first rounders for those guys. But if you could, if you could swing a deal, and I keep saying this, he's got to be not injured. Sure would be great if Darcy Kemper came back and was all of a sudden available.
Yeah, that's starting to seem like wishful thinking.
I know. It's a bummer. But so you look at their defense core here. So you've got Ekman Larsson, who's signed there forever and ever. Amen. Goligoski, who's UFA at the end of this year. Demers, Osterley, and Lubashishkin. Do you know his name?
I think I know who you're talking about, but without the name in front of me, I have no shot.
It's Ilya. Anyway, he's 26.
Ilya.
Oh man, I know it should be better, but whatever. It's.
You keep saying you're part Russian.
It's the long weekend too, right? So I'm out to lunch, but
I would say Labushkin
been checked out since noon.
Huh? Yeah, baby. But okay, so here's
working harder, hardly working, boys.
If you're a Hawks or an Oilers fan, I want you to if the Leafs are looking for winger depth because they've lost Boyd and they've lost VC, even though I don't really think they need it. Could you not swing a fully depth move? Could you not get if Chalmerson is not injured because he's on the reserve right now? And then say a Drake Caggiula.
Ooh, but why trade for Drake Caggiula, Adam, when you could get a Tyler Ennis for
free again on
your
waivers?
Boy is on waivers again.
I know. Hey,
just saying.
I did want to say Shayne Gostisbehere completely clears waivers, which we expected because of his contract. Mm-hmm. Steve, can you kind of quickly explain why he was put on waivers and what that means for the Flyers other than taxi squad?
Well, the Flyers suck. So there's that. And the Devils just put Nikita Gusev on waivers and the Devils suck. So there's that. Both those guys, I want to say, make 4.5. And neither are bad players. Gusev's having a bad season, but he scored, I think it was 44 points last year in, I think, 65, 66 games. And Shayne Gostisbehere is, I want to say he's kind of like Tyson Barrie in that you're super not going to want to give him a ton of defensive responsibility. That's probably not going to go great for you. But he does know how to move the puck. He knows how to QB a power play. And if you need that sort of player, go for it. I think the Flyers
would have been a perfect, had the Oilers not got Barrie, Gostisbehere would be great.
Yeah, that it could work. I'm sure there's some cap here and there, but whatever. It's the sort of thing that could work. I think he needs an opportunity and a change of scenery because good players don't get crap overnight. And those players like him tend to get exposed on teams that stink. They look amazing on teams that are good and they look terrible on teams that are bad, right? There's no in between. And here's what I want to know. Here's the bigger story than Shayne Gostisbehere getting put on waivers, because this is the season where you put multi-million-dollar players on waivers. They're not getting claimed. Nobody's got any money. Who has the cap room to add a $4.5 million player just willy-nilly randomly? The real story here is, how did the Philadelphia Flyers, who were the hottest team heading into the pause last year. How are they 1 year later just a bag of flaming garbage?
Goaltending.
What happened?
It's honestly, I'm beginning to think the Flyers are cursed. Like after the year 2000, how many goalies has that team gone through? 1 season wonders, 20. Brian Elliott,
Roman Czechmanic.
The Chick Magnet.
Roman Czechmanic. The Chick Magnet. Who was that? Mike Toth? I think I would always wake up and he would do his little one-liners. God, I miss him.
Who else? Van Beesbrook, I think, was there for a little bit after Florida.
Robert Esch.
Robert Esch was there.
Stanley Cup final goalie Michael Leighton.
What about Steve Mason? Was Steve Mason there?
Oh, you bet your bottom dollar.
It's like it's akin to the lineup of the amount of QBs the Browns have had in the last 20 years. It's crazy. It's where goaltenders go to die. Sergei Bobrovsky. Yeah. Was there. I mean,
no. Ilya Bryzgalov.
Bryzgalov.
Oh, wait a second. No, they did have Bobrovsky.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I totally forgot.
They got pretty good Bobrovsky.
Here. Oh yeah. Here. Let me find that one. Let me find that one. That's a doozy, and I don't think I've done that trade tree yet. Thank you for reminding me to do it though, because it sucks. It's real bad. It's real bad. Bobrovsky. Sergei Bobrovsky, NHLTradeTracker.com. Oh my God, the Philadelphia Flyers trade Sergei Bobrovsky. I'm pretty sure it was so they could keep Ilya Bryzgalov. To trade Bobrovsky to the Columbus Blue Jackets for, it was 3 picks.
Ooh.
I want you to tell me what the picks were. Like what rounds?
4, 5, and 6.
A third and a fifth.
Well, you're underestimating them, because according to NHLTradeTracker.com, it's a second round pick that the Flyers used on Anthony Stolarz, a goalie who is no longer their goalie. A 2012 fourth round pick, Taylor Lear, and a 2013 fourth round pick. They misspelled pick on the website, and it doesn't even say who that player was. So a second and 2 fourths for Sergei frigging, I'm pretty sure he went on to win the Vezina more than once, Bobrovsky. Ooh.
Do you remember when Bryzgalov, he had that press conference and he was like, "Why you got to be mad? It's just a game."
That was pre-Flyers.
Why you gotta be mad?
Why are you mad?
I like European goalies in press conferences, especially guys from Russia or from like Dominik Hasek was always a very interesting post-game interview, because if Buffalo lost, I remember there was one time in the playoffs where Buffalo lost a game, and this is when they were a monster team, and he was a monster goalie, and they were unstoppable. And he's like, well, if we lose next game and we are out, well, at least we make it this far. And I'm like, if that attitude had come out of a Canadian in Canada, he would be kicked out of the country. And Hasek, who is easily the best goalie of his era, easily.
Oh,
well, at least we made it this far. I love it.
We play our games, and we try to play our games, and we try to win the games.
That's what he said. That's exactly what I missed
Dominik Hasek's interviews, man.
And Lindy Ruff just with his eye bulging out. Lindy Ruff has calmed down considerably since his Buffalo days. He was Torts before Torts was Torts.
Yeah, I see it. Just really try to win the game, and if we don't win the game, then we lost the game.
That's exactly what he would say.
I miss Dominik Hasek.
Perfect.
Man.
He was great, man. Wow,
Dominator.
He was fun.
My buddy just casually dropped a story. He's like, "Oh yeah, I played table tennis against Dominik Hasek."
Really? Oh, nice.
What? He's like a video editor for the Sabres. And oh yeah. I'm like, what?
Nice.
Huh.
Holy shit. Imagine just, played Dominik Hasek at table tennis.
You've played quite a few NHL pros because of that, the table tennis tournament they hold here every year.
Because of Smash Fest. Now, I wasn't playing table tennis as much as I was standing in front of a table tennis player so we could shoot a video. My buddy's competitive table tennis.
Oh, okay.
He's good. I was just getting my ass kicked with poor Jason Dickinson. Sorry. And who is it? Brandon Tanev was just smashing the ping pong ball right in my face.
Nice.
It was not a fun night.
Did Brandon know who you were?
Well, I was wondering that because I had recently called him one of the worst free agent signings of the summer. So I don't, dude, that contract's brutal.
Brandon Tanev's been pretty good.
You know what?
I don't hate Brandon Tanev as a player.
No. That was the thing. Like, I don't think I called him a crap player.
All right.
Bad contract.
It's the contract, right?
Well, and
ruins
also,
everything.
Can Pittsburgh stop rehabilitating all of the bad defensemen in the league except for Johnson, who was actually bad? Like they're making us look bad on Cody Ceci here. But Ottawa knows what they. Ottawa fans know what they saw. Toronto fans know what they saw. Pittsburgh, you just wait. All right, you just wait. Okay, enough from you.
Are we in the era, the salary cap era where teams finally go, all right, let's stop making this player something they're not? Cody, what would you like to do? Cody, how do we make you better?
I do want to talk about that, Steve. It's funny that you bring that up.
Also, $3.5 million for Brandon Tanev.
That's a lot of money for Brandon.
That's not too bad.
What's the term? It's like 5 years.
It's 6 years. 6 years.
6 years.
That's okay.
For a guy who was like a career fourth liner up to that point, maybe third.
Tanev is going to be a consistent top 6 forward for the rest of his career. Like that's all. And then he'll drop down a little third line. That's it. It's not based off of, don't look up his point total or whatever. It's based off of his play.
Don't look up his stats. They're just his stats.
If you look at what he was before the signing, it was a bag of crap signing.
Sure. But
I don't know why bag of crap is my crutch this episode, but it is.
It's a bag.
In Winnipeg, I really like Brandon Tanev as your sixth forward. He fills in to bring it back to the Leafs. Brandon Tanev would fill in perfectly on that left wing slot on the second line. That gouch slot right now, Brandon Tanev is that perfect player. He's the Kerfoot. He's the Kerfoot of any NHL team. Except he can't really play center.
But everyone's trying to trade Kerfoot.
Exactly. So he'll play on a couple of teams, but he's good. Brandon Tanev is the hill I will die on.
That's an oof.
It's not what I expected, but okay.
All right. So, by the way, Brandon Tanev's nothing will ever beat Brandon Tanev's photo from this year, where he looks absolutely fucking terrified.
Yeah,
that's the face he gave them when Pittsburgh faxed him the offer. And then Rutherford's like, I'm going to resign after this. This is going to be sweet.
He couldn't sign it quick enough. Yeah.
It's like Doug McClain sticking Columbus with the cannon. Have fun, suckers! And ends up being a thing.
Dinner time can be chaotic, but with Freshly, it's easy. Their chefs take care of your meals a few nights a week, and they take the pressure off you. We're all trying to get in shape and eat right, and Freshly can help with that. Their delicious meals are designed by nutritionists and cooked by chefs, making it easier to eat better. Now, Freshly offers chef-made, nutrient-packed, delicious meals delivered right to your door. No cooking required. I love this. Ordering is super easy as well. Freshly.com. That's it. And you can choose from over 30 delicious, satisfying, better-for-you meals like steak peppercorn, sausage baked penne, and their chicken pesto bowl. My personal favorite. Freshly can fit your lifestyle with a variety of plans and meals to pick from for your dietary needs, your preferences, your tastes, and your family size. And right now, you, as a listener of this show, can try Freshly for just $6.16 per meal. Stop searching the internet for healthy food near me every night and start living your life freshly. Right now, Freshly.com is offering $40 off your first 2 orders when you go to Freshly.com/SDP. Stop stressing about dinner. Go to Freshly.com/SDP for $40 off your first 2 orders. That's Freshly.com/SDP for $40 off your first 2 orders. Hey, I do think, Steve, you wanted to talk about players just being what they are, right?
Yeah.
Our boy Portsy of The Athletic in Columbus put out a story about one Patrik Laine and the struggles the Columbus Blue Jackets are having this season with turning Patrik Laine into a power forward, one who blocks shots and throws hits.
It kind of sounds like you want Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Who, by the way, had a bit of an off night last night. It wasn't great.
Well, it started bad when he decked his own teammate, and then kind of got worse from there.
Yeah.
But what
are they doing, man?
The whole thing about the Blue Jackets going out and getting Patrik Laine, beyond the Dubois drama, because they could have traded him for anybody. They traded him for Patrik Laine, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole story, this Finnish GM in Jarmo Kekalainen goes and gets one of the best young Finnish players in the world in Patrik Laine, and Patrik Laine was a player that Kekalainen wanted even at that draft in 2016. And you would think at some point over the last half decade, Jarmo Kekalainen would have Googled a story or two about Patrik Laine or watched a game or two of Patrik Laine. Maybe it's not Kekalainen that's the problem. It's Torts trying to make Patrik Laine, who is extraordinarily Patrik Laine. Not everyone is them all the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Patrik Laine's him all the time, though. Patrik Laine is a person who is very true to himself. And John Tortorella gets every car that pulls into his garage. Hey, you a Volkswagen? You a BMW? You a Ferrari? You a Mazda 3 randomly? You're all Jeeps now. All of you. A couple of you, we need a couple Dodge Durangos, but the rest of you are Jeeps. Patrik Laine's not a Jeep. He's never been a Jeep. I don't think he's ever going to be a Jeep. Why are you trying to make Patrik Laine a Jeep? When I saw that headline, like, it's so rare that a headline does actually tell the whole story. Well, what? You didn't Google the guy? Do you have any scouts? Did you think you were getting someone else? Like when the Leafs got Jeff Finger and they were probably trying to sign Kurt Sauer? That old story?
It's still one of the best stories in hockey history.
It's still it's wild that it's believable.
Yes.
Or let alone that it might actually be true.
Yes.
But what? I'm sorry. What did you think Patrik Laine was? What did you think he did?
Active stick at the Oak Leafs, who's so funny this year. He's like, the accountant I hired can't even fix my plumbing. He sucks.
It's Patrik Laine, you guys.
Yeah.
It's Patrik Laine. Like when Dale Hunter got the Caps, I want to say it was either to the third round or like they did well in the second round, but they didn't quite make it. But Ovechkin could not frigging score. Well, who won that little battle, you think? Dale Hunter hasn't been seen since.
Yeah, as a coach, yeah.
Ovechkin resumed being Alex Ovechkin and won a cup.
Mm-hmm.
And people go, oh, Ovechkin changed. Well, I mean, a bit, but largely the Caps changed around him. My favorite part is when Alex Ovechkin got back-to-back shutouts in Game 6 and 7 against the Lightning. Like, guys, Patrik Laine is Patrik Laine. Mm-hmm. He's a guy who's going to snore his way to 30 goals. Snore. If you just let him. And I guess he's not allowed.
And so, Steve, you made a really interesting point earlier on in this season, and I thought it was something worth watching as the season went on. And you're the only one, to my knowledge, who's made this point. I could be wrong, but this is a really good one. How does Columbus re-sign Patrik Laine if this doesn't go well? That was the question at the time. Money. Okay, money.
That they don't have.
Money that they don't have. They've lost Pierre-Luc Dubois. Doesn't want to be there. What if other young player from the same draft says, yeah, I don't want to be here either? Even if Torts leaves, if the mantra and the build of the team is a Jeep team, what's the McLaren driver going to do?
Adam, I do not know. I do. And you know what could happen here is a Thomas Vanek situation. The Buffalo Sabres lose Danny Briere.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like that. Because the Philadelphia Flyers gave him a shitload of money.
Mm-hmm.
Then they lose Chris Drury because the New York Rangers gave him a shitload of money. Then the Edmonton Oilers offer sheeted Thomas Vanek, and the Sabres said, that's enough. And they matched it. We're keeping him. So the Columbus Blue Jackets lost Artemi Panarin because the Rangers, they keep coming up, don't they? Gave him a bunch of money. And they lost Sergei Bobrovsky because the Panthers gave him a bunch of money. And Pierre-Luc Dubois, I don't know. No one will tell us. But he's not there anymore. And I think at some point, someone far above Jarmo Kekalainen is going to go, you don't lose this one. And you have a blank slate to not lose this one. And they're going to give him a shitload of money. And listen, Patrik Laine is absolutely the sort of player who might be worth that money. Thomas Vanek was like a 40-goal scorer when he got that contract. But you need to let him be him.
Can I put out a theory on how the Columbus Blue Jackets could re-sign Patrik Laine?
Sure.
How?
By firing John Tortorella.
Contract's up. They won't need to fire him.
By letting him go. Because the quote from Portsline's article from Tortorella says that I'd like to see Laine go with the puck more. I envision him as an unbelievably skilled power forward. I'd like to see him bring some power into his game, and that's skating with the puck, taking people on one-on-one.
That's not his game.
So then they asked Laine about Torts' comments, and they asked him if his attempts to change his game were playing a role into his slump. And Laine said, I don't know. It's hard to say. I've never really been a guy who's playing in the corners or behind the net too much. I'm usually the guy looking for openings where I can maybe receive the puck and try to shoot. That's what I'm good at. But you still have to do other things. So I don't know. That's a tough one. To me, that sounds like a guy who doesn't want to just say no to the media. He doesn't want to say, hey, I don't play like that. But in a roundabout way, he did say it. So if Columbus can just not re-sign Torts, then maybe Laine will be happy because there won't be a guy above him forcing him to play hockey, how he's not good at playing hockey.
And Columbus, by the way, sorry, Steve, I'll let you go in just a second.
Sure.
Columbus is falling out of the playoff picture very quickly here.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
and Tortorella isn't wrong here. Laine, wouldn't it be better if he did do all those things? Yeah, probably.
It'd be cool if my Lambo could haul 800 pounds like my semi truck.
How come I can't put all this sod in the back of my Lambo? Well, what the fuck, man? Rent a fucking U-Haul, bro.
We forget how young this player is because of how good he is.
Yeah.
He was drafted in 2016. He's been, what is he, 23, 22?
Yeah.
It'll come.
He's entering his peak.
Well, and he's developed as well. He was kind of a Cy Young candidate, the kind of guy who gets 40 goals and 10 assists or something like that. And then he developed as a playmaker. That's an upgrade. That's a development. That's something he learned how to do better. All this corner work and give him a Hyman type. Or damn it, Jesse, even a Brandon Tanev type. Give him someone who's going to give that one the puck.
Because that's what he's
let Max Domi feed Patrik Laine.
Or Jack Roslovic apparently is their first line center.
There's just whoever's game complements that style. You're building a line. Hockey's all about building lines that kind of work together. You can't have the same guys doing the same thing on the ice. You need one guy who's gonna fill in those gaps, and when somebody gets him the puck, he's willing to shoot. And Laine, I forget the number, but he's averaging 2 shots a game. That's not his game. He needs to shoot more than that. He needs to just get the puck on net, and nobody's feeding him the puck because they don't want him to play like that.
One-on-one with big defensemen. I want Patrik Laine versus Alex Pietrangelo every time. Can I just throw this out there? Everybody was shitting on the North Division for being not very good. The Discover Central Division is 3 good teams dining out on 5 not good teams. Yeah, I want to point out the goal differential from Nashville on down to the bottom of the division. Because you got Tampa, you got Florida, and you got Carolina, 2 with 50 and 1 with 49 points. Those are some pretty damn good teams. Good for them. Okay. Mm-hmm. But then you got Nashville, which is now in a playoff spot. And this is what's so hilarious about the trade deadline. Diluted and hilarious that because Nashville is now winning, it would set the wrong precedent to potentially move out some players for some assets on a team that is objectively not making it past the first round. Even if they make the playoffs, which they still probably won't.
Adam, you're going to be so upset when they win a round.
Look at the goal differentials here. And this is what I'm talking about. So Tampa Bay, 124 goals for, 85 against.
Good Lord.
Florida, 119-99. That's amazing on a team with Bobrovsky playing as shitty as he's playing. Carolina, 113-86.
Ooh.
And by the way, Carolina has at least 2 games in hand on Florida and 1 game in hand on Tampa Bay, so they could be first by tonight. Who knows? Nashville, number 4. They've got 39 points. Remember, the next closest has 49.
Yikes.
Nashville has 95 goals for, 109 against.
Oh.
Tied with them, but with less wins in the actual win category. They've lost more in overtime. That's why they're tied with Nashville, because that makes sense. The Chicago Blackhawks with 106 goals for and 115 against. And then you got the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are in 6th place, and everybody in Columbus are going to be like, guys, they're only 3 points out of 4th. Wait till we get to Dallas. Just a second. Columbus, 94 goals for, 118 against. And then you've got Dallas, who is, by the way, of those teams going to make the playoffs. They have 4 games in hand on Nashville, Chicago, and Columbus, because they had the COVID protocols beginning of the season. Yes, I get it. They're 11, 12, and 10. They have 10 overtime losses.
What?
Yes. Dallas has 10 overtime losses. Wow. Dallas is a very good team in the second last spot in their division. Dallas is going to the playoffs. And their goal differential is 0. 91 for, 91 against.
Which isn't great, but it's better than what
0,
I just gave which you, is right? The rest of them.
Yeah, and then Detroit is shitty, and we don't need to highlight that.
They know.
And, they know. That's the point. So the point I'm trying to make here is Columbus is falling out of the playoff picture. They got a coach who's on his way out. If I'm Jarmo Kekalainen, I have to sell Patrik Laine in Columbus, and it's not. I don't think Portsy was wrong. We had him on. He was talking about how great Columbus as a city is. And I'm sure it is. I haven't spent a lot of time in Columbus, but why wouldn't it be great? It's great.
Yeah. Every city, every NHL city, you can find a very good reason to live there as a millionaire. Because remember, you're not living there as just a regular person. No, every place you're living is as a millionaire. And I think you can make it work.
You probably could. Okay, so.
Is there a bad place to be rich?
It's a good question. I don't know. But the problem with the Blue Jackets is they, for whatever reason, can't keep these young talents in town, which brings us back to our original point. Patrik Laine is going to have to be sold on Columbus. And who is he going to be sold on? Forget the money. Because I think Patrik Laine in this economy is more valuable to other teams as a restricted free agent than he would be under contract, which is the exact opposite of what happened with Pierre-Luc Dubois, who signed his 3-year contract just so he could get traded. I think this offseason, Columbus's best route is either to trade him or to sell him on the city. If they can't sell him on Columbus and staying in Columbus long-term, then you got to trade him before you sign him, because another team's going to want to be able to fit Patrik Laine in somehow, some way, and you don't want to have to make the money decision for them. Jarmo's really tough on RFAs too. One thing I'll give him huge credit for. So I think in this particular instance, unless they announce a really great coach, I don't think you're selling Patrik Laine in Columbus.
You don't need to be a great.
It's got to be Bruce Boudreau, right?
Oh, he'd be good. Yeah. I think he'd be a good fit.
Yes,
he'd be a good fit. John Tortorella, for a number of years, has been like the perfect candidate to coach what the Columbus Blue Jackets want to be.
Yes.
He is good at squeezing blood from a stone and getting 4 lines that play the exact same. Laine doesn't play like those guys. He doesn't. He has not. He might one day. Maybe Torts is a genius and he'll get him there. I don't think so. I think he's going to continue to be Patrik Laine now and going forward and flirt with 40, 50 goals every year. Boudreau, I think, is the sort of guy who will get him there. Boudreau is the sort of coach who allowed Alex Ovechkin to be Alex Ovechkin for as long as he did, and also got a guy like Mike Green, who plays defense, by the way, 30 goals. And you might be like, well, no, Mike Green didn't play defense. That was the problem. Yeah, but Bruce Boudreau looked past it because he scored 30 goals. Let Laine be Laine. We bring it up once an episode, The Last Dance. You don't put a saddle on a Mustang. Patrik Laine, Dennis Rodman, same guy. Same guy. The Office meme. Hold up their pictures. It's the same picture. I see the same guy.
Patrick, just moving on from Patrik Laine, because we got to get to Erik Karlsson, then quickly to the press conference. McDavid and McKinnon both fined $5,000 within the last 48 hours. That is the maximum allowable fine under the CBA. If the players won one thing in negotiations, and by the way, this is the only thing they won besides guaranteed contracts, they won the fine thing. Because what's the equivalent? It's McDavid makes like $12.5 million, right?
Right. Okay. So after taxes and escrow and the fact that this is a 56-game season, this math equation isn't right. But without complicating it and making it less fun, Connor McDavid makes $12.5 million against the cap. He was fined $5,000. That is the equivalent of a person making $50,000 being fined $20.
Wow. So for McKinnon, who's on the best deal in the league.
Oh, it's like 40.
It'd be $40.
Man, I don't know how he's going to cope.
Oh, man, it's a trouble. That's an issue, man. That's a problem.
Man, it's like Uber Eats for 2 or 3.
Also, I thought McKinnon.
Depends how you tip.
I know it was sort of dangerous and he shouldn't do it, but the throwing of the helmet was a new one. I've never seen that before in my life. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's the sort of thing.
It was a little funny.
That's the sort of thing where, like, as long as Connor Garland's okay, it's instantly hilarious.
Right.
It's also that to me was like the blue dress, gold dress meme. You know that thing where you looked the optical illusion? If you go and look at that play and you just stare at Nathan McKinnon, it looks like he barely lobs the thing. And if you look at Connor Garland, it looks like he just friggin' Roy Halladay right down the middle. Yeah. Like just hucked it straight at his brain. That's a heat of the moment thing. You hear heat of the moment in hockey a lot.
I wonder,
what person in the right mind does that?
I wonder if he was like, put your helmet on so I can fight you, right? Because now you have to keep your helmets on, otherwise you get kicked off the ice.
Nathan McKinnon, I think, is the sort of star who wants to fight. Because in the off season he boxes, which I've mentioned a bunch of times. I think he's one of those guys who, I think any person who does that, they're like, oh, I do it for the fitness. Yeah, but part of you wants to try it too.
Erik Karlsson. Erik Karlsson has had a couple of interesting press conferences. And the most recent, the first one I think we talked about was, I didn't sign here to rebuild like we did in Ottawa for 10 years. Ottawa made the playoffs 6 of 9 years. Ottawa fans noticeably a little ticked by that. But since there aren't many of them left, it really didn't create much of a firestorm.
Oh, wow.
No.
Hey, the sickos have an army. How dare you? How dare you?
I'm kidding. But beyond that, things have not gone well in San Jose. And Erik basically, what we said the last time was like, hey, Erik, if you want to turn things around in San Jose, you should look at you. Because you're the $11.5 million player. Are you not?
Yep.
Right? You're the guy who is supposed to turn it around. And you signed a contract with a bunch of guys who were all in their mid-30s already. Of the San Jose Sharks core, Erik Karlsson's the young one.
Who's more excited for the expansion draft than the Sharks?
Oh, man. Well, what'll be interesting.
Would you like an old guy? I bet you would.
I think they're all on no trade clauses anyway. Now, Jesse, you've got the audio from his most recent press conference where he is eating an apple.
Yeah, so for context, that night, Carlson had a great game, scored 2 goals, and then the shootout winner where he clapped a bomb to win
so mean, shootout,
which is like against hockey rules, but like it was a lot of fun to see it. Mm-hmm. So he was feeling himself in this press conference, and the reporter asked, hey, was this one of the better offensive games you've ever had in your career? And this is how it goes. And in it, he's eating an apple. For some reason, he decided to munch on an apple.
All right, Erik, is that the best offensive game you've ever had? 2 goals and essentially a hat trick when the game winner in the shootout?
Not even close. Dang.
Who asked the question? Do we know?
Oh, I don't know. I could do. No, I could look it up, but I don't know off the top of my head.
So, like, okay, so you can't see the reporter asking the question, but like when someone is speaking with warmth, you know, in their face, you can hear it, right? You can hear it in his voice. Erik, was that the best? I think he was kidding, and I think Carlson was kidding back. But like, that's a flex. What? And then Jeff Merrick asked a very important question on Twitter. Is that the most powerful fruit in that situation?
Yeah, like, he was asking what's the most powerful fruit you could eat in front of somebody?
Yeah, like what is to establish powerful dominance, right? Yeah. Apples, I think, number one. You can't just be like not even close and have like an orange slice.
Yeah, no. Or like a pineapple where you're just trying to get it open. Like, how do I even cut this? Where do I?
Yeah, not even close, and you're fiddling with
like,
it.
Unless you go to Whole Foods and it's pre-cut for you.
You ever get an orange and you're trying to peel it and you're like, oh, it's one of those ones. Shit. Not even close, and you aggressively bite into a banana.
A hard
not
pear.
The same oomph.
Hard pear could do it. Hard pear could do it.
A pear?
A hard pear. Like one that's firm. You don't want to soft pear.
That is just like eating an apple.
It's like eating an apple. A pear.
It's bigger, right? Because your hands are big because you're an athlete. Bigger pear. You can hold a pear like the average person can hold an apple. That's a flex.
What about like a bite of a burger?
No, that's not a fruit.
A two-handed.
Not even.
Just sitting there with some spaghetti, like twirling it on a spoon.
Or you're cutting a steak.
No.
What should Carlson have been eating? Tweet us.
Actually, in fact, you know what? Hey, Jesse, do we have any inventory we can give away?
What do you mean?
Well, do we have anything that we can give away?
Merch.
Oh, like in terms of
merch? Yeah.
Yeah, merch. Yeah, we can give away.
Could we do a Photoshop contest where people take the still of Erik Karlsson and Photoshop in different food and the best one wins, or the best three wins, or something like? Can we do that?
Best one.
Best one.
And it's got to be food.
It's got to be food.
Yes.
Don't be gross. It's got to be food.
All right. So competition, we'll set up the rules and regs right now. Competition, you have to tweet at Steve Dangle, @Steve_Dangle on Twitter, at Jesse Blake, at Adam Wild on Twitter. You have to tweet all of us your Photoshop picture of what Erik Karlsson is eating. He has to be eating food. Contest starts when this podcast goes up and it ends on when the next one goes up. So Monday at 8 p.m.
8 p.m. There you go. Monday at 8.
It's the most powerful fruit. It is it's like 7 is the most magically powerful number. Apples are the most magically powerful fruit.
Actually, contest should end earlier so we can announce it on the next podcast. The contest closes Monday at noon. Thank you.
Can we just take a minute for how Jeff Merrick's brain works?
No, we
just
can't.
Take a minute.
We can't take a minute.
Like the guy.
One
the
minute?
Guy's a fucking, like, he's so fucking smart. It drives me insane. There's things he tweets. I'm like, I could go to multiple universities, get multiple degrees, and never would I approach that. It's just wild.
He belongs to like I forget what it's called, like a hockey historical society. And I've told this story before, but you know how people will put on like a dumb party movie, like just to have on in the background, you know, when you can see people, and they'll put on something like Superbad, Super Troopers, whatever. Jeff Merrick puts on like DVDs of hockey games from the 70s. I was watching Flyers Bruins game from like I don't even know what. And then a rental car commercial comes on and it's O.J. Simpson.
Whoa.
Yeah.
For Hertz, right? He did the Hertz spots.
Something like that. I don't know.
He's like running through the airport.
I think it might have been that one.
With the briefcase. Yeah.
And I'm just like, who is this man? Whose house am I at?
That's crazy.
He just lives a magical, mystical life.
I think that's pretty much anybody that listens to the show's dream, though, isn't it? Like, isn't that how you'd live your life if you were living your best life? Especially you, Steve. Like, I mean, that is, if Mrs. Dangle would let you, that's what you would have on at parties.
Oh, probably. Yeah. And I would like invite Roger Clark, who plays the voice of Arthur Morgan. Mm-hmm. And just because I could. I'm famous and I want Arthur Morgan at my party.
And by the way, if you want to check out something cool that's Jeff Merrick related that isn't 31 Thoughts or what he does on Sportsnet, he's on Dan Carlin's feed because he interviewed Dan Carlin when Dan Carlin came to Toronto. And it's an hour long and it's incredible. It's so good. I've listened to it 3 times. So it's about Dan has a book. And so Jeff kind of interviewed him about that. Anyway, definitely worth checking out.
Jeff also used to host live audio wrestling, like way back, like a decade ago. He used to run on like I forget which station, but he used to do a fucking radio show about wrestling, and it was incredible.
I want to just get Jeff Merrick and Ron MacLean in the same room and have them talk about nothing to do with hockey.
A story off.
Yeah. I want Jeff Merrick and Ron MacLean to talk about wrestling in Alberta.
Just wild, crazy.
They could.
Niche.
They could. They legitimately both could.
Probably could make it interesting too.
Oh yeah.
Yes. And Ron MacLean will make it about like some author from like the 40s. Mm-hmm. I just want to hear it. I just want to hear what smart people say.
Unless I'm nuts, Ron MacLean doesn't have a podcast, does he? Because he should.
Called national television. No.
Well, I know he's got national television, but you like a free-form podcast? Like he was so good when he was on with us. Ron should have a podcast.
No, hometown hockey's kind of his playground, but no, he should absolutely have a podcast, and they should just let him interview whoever he wants.
Right.
Probably nobody to do anything with hockey.
All right. Fair enough. And let's get into the press conference. With the NBA season in full swing, baseball underway, and the NCAA tourney and the Masters right around the corner, the sports calendar is officially heating up. And that means now is the perfect time to take your sports fan couch experience to the next level by getting in on the action yourself. The Athletic has partnered with BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, to bring you the latest odds and exclusive offers to bring you closer to the game than ever. Subscribers to The Athletic get an in-depth analysis from our newsroom, plus insights into the latest betting trends and odds from BetMGM's team of experts, getting you the context that you need before you nail that pick or parlay. Right now, BetMGM is offering Steve Dangle Podcast listeners a risk-free first bet up to $600. You just sign up at BetMGM.com and use the bonus code 2POD. TWOPOD to take advantage of this special offer from the king of sportsbooks. This offer is for new customers. That's a risk-free bet up to $600 at BetMGM.com with the bonus code 2POD, TWOPOD. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Cue the disclaimer.
Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, or West Virginia only. Excludes Michigan disassociated persons. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 in Colorado, Nevada, and Virginia. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help in Michigan. 1-800-GAMBLER in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. And 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. In Tennessee, call or text the Red Line at 800-889-9789. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. Promotional offer not available in Nevada.
All right. One thing we didn't get to. Do you guys have any thoughts on Thatcher Demko signing 5 years for $25 million?
Yeah. So, some people are like, 62 games of experience. And I was like, who else had 62 games of experience before signing their first big contract? No, Adam, I think it was Vesa Toskala, actually, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Come on.
We're doing it.
Don't do that.
No, Thatcher Demko has been very, very good. 5 times 5, I believe, is exactly the contract that Freddie Anderson got. I don't see a problem with it. And especially like going forward, I mean, $5 million, as long as he's good. Like I saw some people go, well, as long as he's good. And I'm like, well, yeah.
No,
isn't that the given in any signing in any sports?
Mm-hmm. I would think so.
Did anyone say that with Connor McDavid? 12.5. Well, as long as he's good.
I think the question is, which Thatcher Demko are you going to get? Are you going to get early season Thatcher Demko this year, or are you going to get the last couple of weeks Thatcher Demko?
I think, I'd say it's last month. Like since the hot streak sort of began.
Okay.
The Canucks were shit. They were real bad in front of him.
So was Thatcher Demko though.
He wasn't very good either. No, I think he'll end up being fine. Okay. And they'll probably expose Braden Holtby. He'll probably go to Seattle.
You think Holtby will go to I don't think they're going to take Holtby.
They might.
No, I think they're going to make the Canucks keep him. You'll be like, ha, you like your cap? Well, you're going to keep it.
I want to see the list of goalies who are eligible for that draft because there's always someone good.
I mean, they could sign a free agent.
One goalie on every team, right?
Yeah.
So
who's got cap space? Seattle. Their current cap hit is $0.
Right.
So they could go out and get a guy like Anderson. Imagine having a tandem of Anderson Holtby. You can make that happen.
Yeah, it's not the worst. It's pretty good.
You know what's going to happen?
What?
Seattle's going to the Stanley Cup Finals next year.
Ride Anderson through the regular season and Holtby in the playoffs. That's what you do.
Oh, you know what? That sounds like a joke. No, that makes a lot of sense.
Why not?
Hey, you know what else we didn't talk about quickly before we get to questions? I know you don't care, but like, dude, the Sabres won.
Oh, yeah. You know what? Hey,
they did.
All right.
They deserve it. They deserve it.
And everybody chirping the players online for being excited for winning. Yo, what the fuck is wrong with you? They lost like 17 games. Come on.
Right.
I kind of had a feeling they were going to win this one because Brandon Montour's reaction was the funniest. Second funniest was Rasmus Dahlin basically going, we panicked because I'm paraphrasing him, but he was basically like, well, we haven't played with the lead. So when they blew it against Philly, I mean, they didn't know what to do because they hadn't done it in like a month and a half. But Brandon Montour was like, you that can't happen. This is the National Hockey League. And it was like, it's been Sabres, Buffalo, the Buffalo Sabres. And there's something about hockey players. There's something about the National Hockey League. And when you stepped out of the team itself, guys, we're all in the National Hockey League. Every one of us is a National Hockey League player. This is fucking embarrassing. I don't think any of us want to be here. Do you want to be here? You want to be here next year? No. Okay. Well, right now we're here and we're in the National Hockey League. This can't happen. We can't lose 18 straight. We can't blow third period 3-goal leads. What is going on? And then they went out there and they mopped the Philadelphia Flyers. And I know it's the Flyers, but they mopped them. And don't be surprised if the Sabres actually do okay for the rest of the season. Okay by losing 18 straight standards.
Right.
Yep. You know what I mean?
They might win 2 out of every 5, and that will be happy. That'd be good.
2 out of every 5. I think Dwayne might actually kill a man.
Dwayne
if they did it.
Dwayne's not doing so hot these days.
He was like, dude, I saw a few seconds of his little stream after the collapse against Philly.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, this is about an hour into the Joker. This is his origin story. This is the Buffalo Sabres are a joke. And I'm tired of pretending like they're not. Mm-hmm. And I was ready for him to put on full face paint and a purple suit. He didn't get that far though. They won the next game. And they avoid the record.
Jesse, what's our first question?
Sorry.
No, I was just trying to bug you, Steve.
No, it's okay.
Let's not make too much of the Sabres here. Come on now.
Well, here, I'll put a bow on it.
I'm bugging you. I'm just bugging you.
No, I know. A losing streak is a losing streak. But now that it's not the record, it's done. It goes away forever. You know what I mean?
Had it been the record, it would have been a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah, you're right.
You become take it from me. You become the first team to cough up a 3-goal lead in Game 7 of a playoff series. Becomes a thing. You become the first team to lose to an e-bug. Kind of becomes a thing that I get tweeted daily. You lose the record, you're good.
Steve, are the Leafs the first team to do that twice? 2 Game 7s? Drop a 3-goal lead in Game 7s twice? Because didn't they do it another year? Remember the bad Gardner year?
No, they were up 1.
They were up 1. Right.
Luckily, they did blow it. They back-to-back Game 7s in Boston went into the third with the lead.
Right.
And blew both.
They had a terrible third period. I remember that year.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
That was probably the worst one. That was the worst third period. The worst full Game 7 was 2019. Isn't it amazing that the worst third period was the one where they didn't blow a 3-goal lead? That's how bad they were.
I like the 3-goal lead. I look back on it now, and that half season, the Leafs should have never been in it.
They would have never been in the playoffs.
They were playing with house money anyways. That's why I don't feel so bad about that loss. Like, I feel bad about...
and it was 8 years ago.
And it was, yeah, it's fucking 8 years ago. And like, I feel bad about last year's because you shouldn't get embarrassed like that. Year before as well. Yeah. Like those, I find those much more embarrassing than the Boston 3-1.
The year before made me so mad.
Yeah, because you had that. And they're up 3 when they're up 3-2 in the series, you got to close it out eventually. And
they were the better team through 5 games, and then followed it up with 2 pieces of shit.
Yeah,
they really did.
It always comes back to the Leafs and our shitty history, huh?
Yeah. So there you go, Buffalo.
There you go.
What about the Leafs? I know.
Steve. All right. We promised this for all the people out there listening. Today is opening day. The Blue Jays, last time I checked, it was 2-2 versus the Yankees.
It's now 3-2. 3-2.
3-2 for
the Jays.
The Blue Jays. Awesome.
It's a soft J. It's the Yays.
The Blue Jays. One thing I noticed looking up and down the roster, the starting 9, at least for the position players, not counting the pitchers, their everyday starting 9. None of their players were born in the 80s. Ooh. This is George Springer's injured. He was born in 89, but he's not in the lineup right now. When he gets back in, they'll have one guy born in the 80s out of their everyday position players. That to me is so much fun for this Jays team. It's young. There's so much potential on it. Like if these guys, even if it's not even this season, if it's next season, half of this roster reaches their maximum potential, they're going to be so damn good. And like going to this year, if the guys just step up a little bit, they'll be a wild card team easily. Like I think I'm so disappointed that they're not in Toronto. Like the pandemic's taken so much from the world, but like the Jays is also, we got to add to that list because the hype in the city around these young guys would be so much. And like there's so many guys that the city would like grab onto and you want to root for. So I'm very excited for this Jays year. What do you guys think?
Well, and it matters seeing them. And in a place that's cold, like the beginning of the baseball season, the first time I see the highlights on TV, I'm like, oh, there's hope. You know what I mean? And I miss the commentary. I miss even the smell. The smell of shitty Skydome. Like I just, give me baseball. Give me baseball so much. And you make a great point. Like we're talking about a city that still is shrouded in Brett Lawrie jerseys.
Yeah, that stuff needs to change.
But he was a popular player because he was young and exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then obviously they went through a pretty good few-year stretch. But like Biggio, Bichette, Vladdy, it's such an exciting team.
Lourdes Gurriel.
Yeah, all those jerseys, like
exciting
you said,
play.
all those leftover Donaldson, Batista, Lowry jerseys, those are going to get swapped out for the guys on this team. Like,
and Bichette's going to be the one people like the most, I think. But Guerrero Jr. kicked off the season with it. I guess Garrett Cole is the ace for the Yankees. And Vladdy hit a ball so hard, it's the hardest hit ball off of a Garrett Cole pitch in history. 114 miles an hour off the bat. So he hit it back harder than Garrett Cole can throw it. And then on his second and third at bat, he walked both times, which is incredible on base percentage to start the year for Vladdy, who's lost 60 pounds. That's incredible.
I had to look it up for my Canadian friends. That is a 183 kilometer an hour ball.
Thank you.
Oh my God. That's I've never driven that fast.
Crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah. Just crazy. So it's, you know what, I think what I'm excited about with the Blue Jays is young and fun. House money, kind of like when they were in the wild card game last year. Young, fun. I think the pitching staff needs another full year plus some additions. Like I don't think anybody is fooling themselves into thinking that this is a pitching staff that takes you much more beyond the ALDS. But while you have it, great. And you got Ryu, who's great. You got a bunch of question marks after him, like Tanner Rourke. Can he go 10-10? Maybe. You lost Kirby Yates to Tommy John surgery, which means he's going to be out till probably beyond next spring camp. next training camp. But I think there's an opportunity there to just offense your way as far as you can go. And that's wicked. That's so much fun to watch. If you're a non-baseball fan, this is the year to get into the Blue Jays because they're the fun team to watch. Every at-bat, somebody can hit a home run. There isn't a single person in this order who hasn't hit like 15 at least in a season. So it's pretty incredible. And when Springer gets back, it's going to get that much more dangerous. Jesse, to answer your question, I'm freaking pumped.
Awesome. Adam, can you do a quick history corner for us?
Okay.
I don't know if you're up on this information. I'm putting you on the spot here, but Storytime Hockey, Travis Duncan wanted to know if you could talk a little about the Suez Canal and our favorite boat that just got dislodged. Do you know why that canal is so important to the world trade? Because everyone was talking about that. They're like, oh my God, this freaking freight is going to stop toilet paper production. Do you know a little bit about that? Can you talk about that in History Corner?
Yes. The Suez Canal is a canal that was based on an idea that a French engineer came up with in the 1850s. Although there was a canal previously that existed in that same area, apparently, that was built before the Romans got there and then maintained by the Romans. And then when the Roman Empire fell, I think the Mamluks took over in Egypt, if I'm not mistaken. And they had a weird setup, but they were not, first off, they were not native Egyptians.
I'm sorry, Adam, who?
Mamluks. They were
the Mammoths?
No, the Mamluks.
I thought this was History Corner, not Zoo Stories.
The Mamluks were known for being incredible cavalrymen, and I believe they fought on camelback, I think. And brilliant in the desert, but I think that they were if I'm not mistaken, a slave culture, meaning that they were technically enslaved to the Ottoman Turks who controlled Egypt, but Egypt was given to the Mamluks to kind of look after. So they were the governors of that and made money off of that, but they were still technically enslaved and had to do whatever the Ottomans told them to do. It's a bizarre setup. The whole Ottoman Empire thing, by the way, fascinating history. Just a crazy way to run an empire, and they were dominant for 500 years. But beyond that, the Suez Canal was essentially an idea that a French engineer came up with. And I guess the idea was, to get all the expensive, incredible goods from India to Europe at the time was almost impossible. You had to go around the Horn of Africa, which is right down the tip of Africa. It takes several months. It's very dangerous to do. The tides down there are crazy. In the wintertime, it's ugly because it's close to Antarctica, right? You have to, and you're sailing these like wooden ships. So it was basically sort of one of those ideas that like, well, if we could do this, we could cut through the thinnest part of that land. It'd be no problem. We have a great shipping area, kind of like what the Turkish people now and the Ottoman Turks had with Constantinople.
Yeah.
Huh?
Turks and Caicos.
That's right. Yeah. Basically the Dardanelles Straits.
I'm helping.
So long story short, this guy brings it to the French government. They're like, you're fucking crazy, not a chance. And they somehow, some way he gets British money, which back then the Brits had all the money anyway, and starts this. And there's a whole bunch of stories about, first off, you got to know that like 10,000 people, unpaid workers, dug this. And then when that fell apart, because that didn't get the job done, and there was almost like a full-on rebellion, they actually brought in steam-powered diggers and started digging it out. And I believe in the 1890s it was completed. And the reason that really the British Empire at the time took such an interest in Egypt was the Suez Canal, because it was them and their money and their investment that finished it. The French part of it was interesting for a whole completely different type of reason, but there was entire governments fell because there was a whole Ponzi scheme associated with how it was financed when the French had control over it. So the British, seeing an opportunity, were like, wow, we can control literally the most important trade route in the world, and it gets us directly to our colonies in India. Yeah, we're going to take it. So they sort of just took Egypt from the Ottoman Empire in the late 1800s and like, this is going to be ours now. I mean, it's technically yours, but we're the protectorate. So we're the military muscle in the area. And so the Suez Canal became, in World War I and World War II, probably one of the most important shipping routes in the world anyway. But it became like Hitler's main target in the Middle East was the Suez Canal. The Ottomans' main target in World War I, when they were allied with Germany and Austria-Hungary, was to take the Suez Canal. Because if you cut England and India off at that point, England starts to starve. And it's got an incredible history, and obviously is a major part of Egyptian commerce now. But the Suez Canal to this day remains the most important. That and the Panama Canal in North America are two of the most important canals in the entire world, because they're the ones that allow us not to go down to the south of America, like South America and South Africa, essentially, to get our trading done. And it's a huge, huge thing. So I don't know what the hell happened with this boat, but apparently they drew like a penis on the board or something with their navigation.
That can't be why.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening. They're gonna investigate this, and who knows if we'll ever know the real answer.
What's it called again?
Evergreen or something?
Yeah,
I don't know. The thing was it's those boats, those shipping boats now are so big.
I don't know if it's Photoshop, but the picture of that like little backhoe next to the
not
boat,
Photoshopped, real picture.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
How many? Really okay, here's what I want to know: how many boats in the world are bigger? Like, how many boats in the world right now are bigger than the Titanic? Like, there's no way the Titanic was bigger than that boat, right?
Oh yeah, no. Most cruise boats are 10 times the size of the Titanic.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, Titanic was big for its time, but in fact,
1912 or whatever.
Yeah, but like the Titanic now would be a pretty small ship.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like most ocean-going vessels are much bigger than that. Because frankly, if you're going to put something out on the ocean, it's got to be a bit shorter. It can't be like the long boats we see on the Great Lakes. Like they have big, long shipping container boats. You can't do that in the ocean because they'll snap in half. But they're just bigger and burlier, and they sit. You know how high cruise ships sit? Like Titanic sat kind of low. The cruise ships sit really super high. Those are the kinds of ships that tend to do well. They're not very long, but they sit high, so that way the swells don't, wash up on the deck as much, and et cetera, et cetera. It's crazy. The whole, very little is known about like how our shit gets to our stores. But there's some pretty dangerous stuff still happening when you have to cross the Atlantic or the Pacific, and people just don't know about it.
It's so true, because it's like, oh, this thing came from Asia, and it's just here,
right?
You don't really think about how they got it from one side of the world to the other, and it's constantly happening with millions of items just all around us all the time.
And that
made in Indonesia,
yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, I guess they flew it over. No, they didn't. They shipped it, and it's when they ship like. Those Pacific shipping lanes are not for the faint of heart. That is a scary, big piece of water. And it takes a special kind of person to want to be out on that for most of their lives, because they're out there for like a month. Yeah. Imagine.
Even something like the internet. Most people don't know that there are fiber optic cables running across the ocean. So you have internet.
Yeah.
Like they have to cable that. It's not just, it's through the air.
Yeah,
people are sending things everywhere.
They often say that if there was another world war, assuming there was no like mega bombs dropped, the first thing that would get cut is those fiber optic cables, and then your internet is essentially cut off from Europe at that point. I think. Like
wild.
It's nuts.
and like people don't believe you, but like how you can get Wi-Fi on planes now. That's because every plane has like a little cord that dangles all the way from the plane to the surface. And they have to reroute to not like hit anything.
Yeah.
And that's also really important, Steve. So the planes don't float out into outer space, right? It keeps them tethered to Earth.
Yeah. Ingenuity. It's brilliant.
Brilliant human. Anyway, the Suez Canal, very, very important. I would highly suggest you look it up, just because it's the stories around it are absolutely fascinating. It created Britain's empire, and a lot of people argue that it ended Britain's empire as well when Egyptian people said, "Can we have our country back, please, for the first time in like 1,000 years? That'd be great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it." Look, no one's perfect. Even the best baseball players strike out. Occasionally, hockey players miss the net, and the best golfers sometimes three-putt with the tournament on the line. So if you feel like you've come up short in the bedroom, that's perfectly okay. If it's bothering you, there are options. Go to GetRoman.com/STP now. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED from the comfort and privacy of your home. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you on the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, It ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/STP and complete an online visit. Take care of your ED without even leaving your home. Complete an online visit today to connect with a doctor and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/STP right now to get $15 off your first month. Look, there's a straightforward way to take care of your ED. GetRoman.com/STP. Get started now to save $15 on your first month of treatment.
For the first time.
And the ship was called Ever Given, by the way.
Ever Given.
So everybody's yelling at their phone or podcast or whatever.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
The more you talk about history and like the more things we learn about the Earth, it just feels like the society itself is just kind of like on the edge, you know, and just at any moment it could fall either way.
Yeah, we're dangling.
We're just dangling. We built this thing.
People like they look at the Roman Empire and they think, you know what? That could never happen to us. And like what happened to, you know, especially the Western Roman Empire. And it easily could. You know, Rome was maybe the only superpower of its day, but they still fell. And there are, you know, China's a superpower. United States is a superpower. India is becoming a superpower. These empires, these mega empires, whether it's a landmass empire or an economic empire, like what the United States has, and what China has, they fall. They rise and they fall. And
it's like the pandemic we're living in. Like, what was it? There's the clip of Obama in 2016 mentioning like, hey, we got to boost our pandemic things because like every 100 years there's a pandemic, and you're just going about your life and you're like, oh, that was the people in the 20s, you know, that happened to them. We're good, and then it happens to you.
I remember
freak thing happens to the entire human race.
You want to talk about pure ignorance, Jesse? I remember growing up and thinking racism was a thing of the past.
Or
was like not like society wide.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like a bunch of crazy people down in like the southern United States are still racist, but the rest of us are good.
Well, yeah, and Toronto's especially.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's what happens when you don't grow up as a person of color.
Well,
interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was one of those things where I feel like there might have been good intentions there, but it backfired. You know what I mean? You because they wanted to instill a pride in multiculturalism, right? But then that pride also made a lot of people, and probably for a period of time, myself included, think, it's just not an issue here.
Yeah, why are we bothering with this? We've already dealt with it. Yeah. Racism is done.
Yeah, guys, that's
why we learned this year especially that ignorance is not the way you should be living. You know, you need to learn about these things, and they happen, and you can't just live ignorantly. You know,
there was a I wish we could dig it up now, but Jon Stewart, when he was still on the Daily Show,
which is a millennium ago.
I know. It's too bad we didn't have him for Trump, but the one of the pieces that he made fun of the most that I don't think got as much play at the time as it should have was Fox News sending out a correspondent to do a story on how racism was over. And this was 2014 or 2015. And John, like, you know, the look he would always give the camera, like that, like stunned surprise. Yeah. And at the time,
I missed it.
But this is before Black Lives Matter. This is before any of that. And obviously, you know, John was a hell of a lot smarter than the average person, but it was very funny to have I think it was, who was the guy that had, there was been a few spinoff shows from that. There was obviously John Oliver, and it was Larry, what was his name?
Tannenbaum.
No, there was another guy he's very, very funny comedian, wears glasses. And he had a show on Comedy Central after John's show, and it was unfortunately canceled. Anyway, long story short, he kind of looked at John's like, you can't make this up. And then, of course, Trump starts running like a year later. And it's very, very funny to go back and see. Like, Fox News had the audacity to say, you know, this racism thing, it's essentially done. It's crazy. It's fine. Anyway, other questions, Jesse?
Trevor Noah, is that who you're thinking of?
No, not Trevor Noah. No.
I don't think Adam would have got Larry.
No.
Trevor, Larry.
What is his name?
I'm just looking up people who are. Steve Carell was
Larry?
on an episode once.
Oh, Steve Carell and Stephen Colbert used to duel on that show. That's how big that show, like so much talent came out of that show.
Yeah. What was the show they were on together where they were two guys who worked at a restaurant, but they hated food? You ever see that sketch?
No, I don't think I have.
And it's the dumbest thing ever. They're both waiters, but like food makes them sick. And like they're literally just making themselves fake vomit the whole sketch. And for some reason, because it's those two, it's the funniest thing ever.
Really? I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, Larry Wilmore.
Larry Wilmore. I think Larry Wilmore was the guy that came on and said, John, I just want to present to you, Fox News says racism's over. And then they cut to this. I swear to God, this happened. So they cut to the couch.
I know him. Yeah.
And so they cut to the couch, and Fox News has, at this point, one black reporter, and they have him sitting on a couch with the Fox and Friends morning show. And he introduces the Fox News segment because he, as the black Fox reporter, would be able to say that racism is in fact over, and does the thing. And you could just see everybody kind of go, oh my God, is this really happening? And it's something that really happened. I remember it. It's crazy.
And that was the end of it. That was the worst we did. And everything's fine now.
Oh boy. Yeah.
No? Still no? Fuck.
It's crazy.
Anyway.
By the way, the town.
How did we get here?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'll ask one last question.
I mean 2021. Like, not this conversation. Sorry.
Final question. It comes from Xander. Xander on Twitter. Do you guys plan on watching the Mighty Ducks series that just premiered? I believe it's on Apple Plus.
Why not?
You guys going to check it out?
I'm not. Okay, here's where I am in my life. I don't watch series on my own. I don't. I speak to one frigging person. I only speak to my wife, and I watch what she's watching. And right now she's watching Superstore. So that's what we're watching. Mighty Ducks can wait until after Superstore.
So when Mrs. Dangle decides to watch the Mighty Ducks, you'll check it out on Apple Plus.
Yeah, and if she doesn't, then I'm not watching it.
There's also one on Crave called Beartown, which is also about hockey. It's about it's a Swedish hockey league, I think it is.
I read the book.
Seen it? Oh, you read the book? Is it good?
The audiobook. Yes. It is good.
You're going to check out the series on Crave?
I might. I also, it was long enough ago that I kind of forget what happens. And there's also a sequel, and I haven't read that yet. It's good. It's not the lightest read, but it is good.
Adam, are you going to check out either of the hockey series that are running right now?
The Mighty Ducks one, I'll check out.
Yeah.
I like the idea of Emilio just being a guy who runs a hockey rink and doesn't like hockey. How dare you?
I like how they're
Emilio?
Just running out what the Mighty Ducks was.
Well, yeah, it worked. Why wouldn't you do it again?
Yeah, I guess. It's, hey, what if we did Star Wars but 3 times?
Yeah.
No, you mean 9 different movies. No. I mean the same 3 movies, 3 different ways, 3 different decades, 3 times.
100%. Yeah. Works. All right. One last question, Jesse? Got one?
That was the last question.
All right. Well, there you go. So, guys, listen.
I like that.
Steve liked it. So we hope you did too.
All right.
I got to say something. Can I just say something? We have been giving Steve a hard time lately. And I want to remind everybody.
Have you?
Yeah, just the news stories and stuff like that.
I don't know.
And I just want to remind everybody that we wouldn't bust Steve's balls like this if he couldn't take it. Okay, this is how we play.
Adam,
let us have our moments.
No. You shouldn't let the internet know that. Let them assume that Steve, when the podcast ends, he drives to our houses and punches us in the face. Let them think that.
Well, that would require him leaving Oshawa, which would never happen.
Why would it?
Why would he leave the greatest place on earth?
Why would it? I went to Sportsnet for the first time. It was yesterday or the day before since March 11th, 2020.
Wow. What was that like?
It's bizarre.
That's not true.
No
you
one's
went
there.
in to film the It's On video.
That was CBC.
No,
that was the CBC building. I haven't been to the actual Sportsnet
CBC
studio.
building where they also have Sportsnet studios.
It's different.
Oh, I went to a different building.
It's different. It's different. You see? Wasn't I in the middle of a fucking apology? Saying you guys are nice to me.
Were you at Mount Pleasant or North Street entrance? Was it different? Different buildings?
Mount Pleasant.
Does your card still work there?
No, it did not. And let me tell you, that led to a pain in the ass.
Yeah, the card thing at the Mount Pleasant office is a pain. Steve used to work at Sportsnet, and Jesse and I would still have to sign him in because he didn't have a card.
You were an employee,
and then would
be on like hockey night on Wednesdays, and they wouldn't let you in the building.
You were the C chair in ice surfing, and you didn't even have a thing.
I wasn't even that. I wasn't even that, man.
You were the Q chair on
We
had like a guest every week, and I spoke, I think, twice. I talked to Edge. I don't know. Actually, it might have just been Edge. I don't think I had any others.
Well, and then the funny thing was
retweets
that CJ didn't have one either.
Yeah,
a card.
We had to sign him in too to come on his show at Sportsnet, where we used to broadcast in the Fan 590 backup studio.
And one day I just stopped having an email, and I haven't asked for it back.
You don't want to fill out all those surveys.
No.
Not worth it.
Imagine like the freedom of, think of your work email. Okay, imagine one day not having it. It's great. Way to be.
Nice life.
It is a nice life.
Yeah.
Adam, it's your responsibility to wrap us up.
All right, let's get the hell out of here. Have a fantastic long weekend. Happy Easter to you and your family. If you're in a lockdown zone, please don't see your family in person. As hard as that is to say, if you are in Florida and nothing matters, then good for you. And
if you're in Texas, please attend the 50,000 people home opener today.
50,000 people are there?
The stadium's full. No restrictions.
Okay. However, like in New York right now, if you're over the age of 30, you can get a COVID vaccine. In Toronto, we just got that age lowered to 60. So we're a little behind.
Yeah, but you know what? Doug Ford said folks into the camera, and I felt better.
Yeah, well, anyway, long story short.
Fuck, we made it so far!
Yeah, wherever you are.
Without talking about this.
Happy Easter. Jesus is risen. Unless for you, he hasn't. And I hope that you have a fantastic, wonderful long weekend and enjoy.
We should have wrapped like 10 minutes ago.
We should have, but we didn't.
You guys want to hear his news story?
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.